Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about two compounds. One is heavy water, another one is hydrogen peroxide. So in last class we have discussed about ordinary water molecule H2O, preparation properties and uses we have completed. Next one, the compound of deuterium, that means heavy water. Deuterium is also known as heavy hydrogen. So the deuterium oxide D2O is called heavy water, and we know the abundance of heavy water because the abundance of deuterium tritium is always less. So automatically the abundance of heavy water will always be less one. So when we take water molecule, you just analyze out of 5000 parts of ordinary water molecule, just only one heavy water molecule will be present. So this is the abundance of heavy water. So this is one more question. So when we analyze the water molecule, out of 5000 parts of ordinary water molecule, only one heavy water molecule will be there. Next one, preparation. So we already studied the preparation of deuterium. So how we prepare deuterium? We did electrolysis process. So we take ordinary water. That means when water is electrolyzed, so first ordinary water molecule will undergo dissociation process. So ordinary water will be dissociated to produce hydrogen as well as oxygen. Then heavy water will be there. It will undergo dissociation process to produce deuterium and oxygen. So we already completed electrolysis of water molecule to prepare deuterium. The same method. So when we do electrolysis process, as I said already, the ordinary water molecule first decomposes to produce hydrogen and oxygen. If all the ordinary water molecules are decomposed, then remaining in the solution you will have less quantity of heavy water. So by electrolysis process, if all the ordinary water molecules are decomposed, remaining you will have heavy water. Next, what is the physical property of heavy water? So which is a colorless, odorless, tasteless liquid, right? So like water, it does not have any smell or fragrance as well as a taste, which is colorless one. Then chemical reactions. Already in deuterium, we discussed about exchange reactions. So hydrogen is replaced by deuterium. We completed exchange reactions. The same is repeated here in terms of heavy water, right? Now consider the following reactions in which we take different compounds containing hydrogen. First one, sodium hydroxide. Second, hydrochloric acid. Third, ammonium chloride. In all these cases, we have taken a compound with the hydrogen atoms. When heavy water is reacting with sodium hydroxide, the hydrogen is replaced by deuterium present in heavy water. So this is called the exchange reaction. Right? So due to the exchange of hydrogen and deuterium, we get sodium deuteroxide with the liberation of water. So there is a printing mistake here. This is not HOD. This is H2O. Right? So when heavy water is added with sodium hydroxide, hydrogen is replaced by deuterium present in heavy water. So we get sodium deuteroxide with the liberation of water. So in book also you change it. This is H2O. In book also, which is given wrong, you change it. Next, exchange reaction. When heavy water is added with hydrochloric acid, the hydrogen is replaced by deuterium. We get deuterium chloride with the liberation of HOD. Then ammonium chloride. All the four hydrogen atoms are replaced by deuterium present in heavy water. We get ND4Cl, the liberation of four molecules of HOD. So this is called the exchange reaction. So if a compound containing a replaceable hydrogen atom, which can be replaced by the deuterium present in heavy water. Next, observe the following exchange reaction, right? So now the compound is called hypophosphorus acid, H3PO2. So this is called hypophosphorus acid. Now from the formula, we thought that hypophosphorus acid contains 3 replaceable hydrogen atoms. From the formula, 3 hydrogen atoms are there. So automatically we think that the 3 hydrogen atoms will be the replaceable hydrogen atoms. And in lower classes we already studied number of replaceable hydrogen atoms in an acid is called what? Basicity. So if number of replaceable hydrogen atom is 1, the basicity value 1, so the acid is called monobasic acid. Example, hydrochloric acid. Take sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Number of replaceable hydrogen atoms 2. So basicity value 2, so the acid is considered as dibasic acid. In the same way, here hypophosphorus acid with the formula H3PO2 is assumed as tribasic acid because it contains 3 hydrogen atoms. We assume that the 3 hydrogen atoms will be replaceable hydrogen atom. So 3 hydrogen will be replaced by deuterium. So this will be tribasic acid. Basicity value will be 3. This is our assumption. But practically what happens when heavy water is added with hypophosphorus acid, all the 3 hydrogen atoms are not replaced. Only 1 hydrogen is replaced by deuterium present in heavy water. So this exchange reaction proves that hypophosphorus acid is not a tribasic acid. All the hydrogen atoms are not replaceable hydrogen atoms. Only 1 hydrogen is a replaceable hydrogen atom. So this hypophosphorus acid is a monobasic acid. So basicity value 1. So what is the application of exchange reaction? From exchange reaction we can easily identify the basicity of an acid. Monobasic or dibasic or tribasic or polybasic. So easily we can identify basicity of an acid using this exchange reactions. So this is first reaction. So heavy water reacts with other substances containing hydrogen atoms. So the hydrogen atoms will be replaced by deuterium present in the heavy water. So it involves an exchange reaction. Next, some other compounds will also react with heavy water. It produces different types of compounds. For example, take aluminum carbide. It does not have any hydrogen to replace. So aluminum carbide combines with heavy water. It produces aluminum deuteroxide with the liberation of CD4. Next, calcium carbide combines with heavy water. It provides calcium deuteroxide with the liberation of C2D2. Right? Magnesium nitride combines with heavy water. It provides magnesium deuteroxide with the liberation of ND3. Next, calcium phosphide reacts with heavy water. It produces calcium deuteroxide with the liberation of PD3. So observe the byproducts. So when we take ordinary water, we will get the byproduct CH4. Methane will be formed. But instead of ordinary water, we have taken what? Heavy water. So if ordinary water is used, we will get C2H2. Acetylene will be formed. But we have used what? Heavy water. So that C2D2 is formed. If ordinary water is used, we will get NH3. Ammonia will be formed as a byproduct. But we used heavy water, so that ND3. If ordinary water is used, phosphine will be formed. PH3 will be formed. But we used heavy water, so the product will be PD3. So these are the reactions of heavy water with some other compounds. Next, uses of heavy water. Mainly heavy water is used in nuclear power stations. So we have 2 nuclear power stations at Kalpakkam as well as Kudangalam. So in the nuclear reactors, we mainly use this heavy water. So heavy water is used as a moderator as well as coolant. So in the nuclear reactors, heavy water is used as a moderator. So moderator is a substance which reduces the speed as well as energy, right? So in the nuclear reactors, what happens? The neutrons are striking the fuel, uranium. So in the nuclear reactors, we feed uranium. The uranium is bombarded by neutrons. So if the neutrons are moving fast, so in order to reduce the speed, we use moderator as well as energy also, right? So heavy water is used as a moderator in nuclear reactors. It slows down the neutrons. Next, in nuclear reactors, which is used as a coolant. So this is a nuclear reaction. So within the reactor, nuclear reaction takes place. It produces enormous amount of energy. We call them as nuclear energy. Comparing ordinary energy, the nuclear energy intensity will be more. So the high energy will be produced in the nuclear reactor, so which is used as a coolant here in order to reduce the temperature, right? Next, heavy water is used as a tracer. So instead of ordinary water, in some reactions we will use heavy water. So once heavy water is used, we can easily study the mechanism. So what are the steps present in the reaction, right? So mechanism of a reaction can be easily identified using heavy water. Instead of ordinary water, we use a heavy water. Mechanism of ordinary reaction as well as metabolic reactions can be studied. So these are the uses of heavy water. So next we move into the another compound, hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide can be prepared from metal peroxides. Take barium peroxide. When barium peroxide is added with dilute sulfuric acid, we get barium sulfate with the liberation of hydrogen peroxide. So instead of barium peroxide, you may take sodium peroxide. When it combines with the dilute sulfuric acid, it produces a hydrogen peroxide with the liberation of salt, sodium sulfate. So this is ordinary laboratory preparation. So by taking a simple metal peroxide with the dilute acids, we get peroxide with the liberation of salt. Next one, industrial preparation. So in a large scale, how to prepare hydrogen peroxide? So the process is called auto-oxidation of 2-ethyl anthraquinol, right? So consider this compound. So the name of this compound is 2-ethyl anthraquinol. So this will involve in auto-oxidation process to produce hydrogen peroxide. So first, how to prepare this 2-ethyl anthraquinol? For that, we need the reactant 2-ethyl anthraquinone. So when this will undergo a reduction process, right? So when hydrogen is 2-ethyl anthraquinone in the presence of a catalyst, this 2-ethyl anthraquinol will be formed. Next, this 2-ethyl anthraquinol will undergo auto-oxidation. Spontaneous oxidation we won't induce. So it combines with oxygen present in the atmospheric air. It produces hydrogen peroxide with the regeneration of 2-ethyl anthraquinone, right? So what is the first step? We have to prepare 2-ethyl anthraquinol from 2-ethyl anthraquinone by addition of hydrogen. Then auto-oxidation of 2-ethyl anthraquinol will produce hydrogen peroxide H2O2 with the liberation of 2-ethyl anthraquinone. Then, so after getting hydrogen peroxide, we add water. When water is added, there will be separation of two layers because we have two different compounds. One is a hydrogen peroxide, which is inorganic in nature. Another one is 2-ethyl anthraquinone, which is organic compound. So always these two will have different phases. This is called inorganic phase, H2O2, inorganic substance. So this is called the inorganic phase or aqueous phase because hydrogen peroxide will be mixed with water. So this is called aqueous phase. But what about 2-ethyl anthraquinone? This is an organic compound. This will not mix with polar solvent water. So this will be separated as an organic layer. So you will get two layers. By adding water with the mixture, hydrogen peroxide will mix with water. It forms aqueous layer. almost 40% hydrogen peroxide solution will be there. 60% water, 40% hydrogen peroxide will be there in aqueous layer. Remaining 2-ethyl anthraquinone is an organic substance which will not be dissolved in water, so which is insoluble in water, so that which is separated as organic layer. So this is industrial preparation of hydrogen peroxide. Next, physical properties. Hydrogen peroxide is almost colorless. A slight blue color may be there. So this is a liquid hydrogen peroxide. And next, one more question. 30% solution of hydrogen peroxide. So 70% water, 30% hydrogen peroxide is called as 100 volume hydrogen peroxide. One more. So what percentage of hydrogen peroxide is called 100 volume hydrogen peroxide? 30%. The reason is, when we heat 1 ml of hydrogen peroxide, we just heat 1 ml of hydrogen peroxide at standard temperature pressure. Standard temperature around 27 degrees Celsius, pressure 1 atmospheric pressure. At standard conditions, when we heat 1 ml of hydrogen peroxide, it liberates 100 ml of oxygen. When hydrogen peroxide is heated, it produces water and oxygen. So 1 ml hydrogen peroxide is heated at standard temperature and pressure. 100 ml oxygen will be liberated. So 30% solution of hydrogen peroxide is called 100 volume hydrogen peroxide. Next, chemical properties. So as I said, hydrogen peroxide will be decomposed to produce water and oxygen. So the process is called a decomposition or disproportionation. Right. So this is hydrogen peroxide is disproportionated to produce water as well as oxygen. Usually the reaction is a slow reaction but explosive reaction, right? So during this disproportionation we should be careful. It may leads to explosion. So since it is a slower reaction, the speed can be increased by using metal as a catalyst, right? So this is one part. So this disproportionation is a slow and explosive reaction. To increase the rate of the reaction, we may use metal as a catalyst. Okay, then how will you store hydrogen peroxide in the laboratory? In our laboratory also we use hydrogen peroxide. How do you store hydrogen peroxide in the laboratory? Will you take hydrogen peroxide in glass bottle or plastic bottle? This is one more question. Usually hydrogen peroxide will be kept in plastic bottles, will not be stored in glass bottles. So when you take other substances, other solutions usually will be in glass bottles, right? But this hydrogen peroxide will be stored in plastic bottles. What is the reason? So as we know, glass bottles are nothing but silicates. They are made up of silicates, right? So alkali metal will combine with silica, SiO2, silicon dioxide. So alkali metals like sodium will combine with silicon dioxide. It forms sodium silicate, which is nothing but glass. So the glass bottle is made up of what compound? Silicates of alkali metal, like sodium silicates. So when hydrogen peroxide is taken in glass bottle, what happens? The alkali metal will be dissolved in the hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide will act as a solvent for alkali metal. So this sodium silicate is considered. The alkali metal sodium will be dissolved in the hydrogen peroxide. So the strength of a glass bottle slowly reduces, right? So that hydrogen peroxide should not be stored in glass bottle. It should be stored in plastic bottles. Next one, important 5 more question as well as book back. Hydrogen peroxide is an oxidizing agent as well as reducing agent, right? So in the previous classes we already discussed, and in 10th standard also you studied what is oxidation as well as reduction, then redox reaction. What is the definition of oxidation? Addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen or loss of electron. Then reduction, a substance, if it undergoes addition of hydrogen, removal of oxygen, gain of electron. This is called reduction. If both are taking place at the same time, we call the process as redox reaction, right? So addition of oxygen, removal of hydrogen, loss of electron is oxidation. Addition of hydrogen, removal of oxygen, gain of electron is called reduction. And you know the difference. Now what is oxidizing agent? Reducing agent. Instead of these two words, some other words can also be used, like oxidant, reductant can also be used. Okay. So oxidizing agent means a substance will undergo reduction, but it will induce oxidation. So this is called oxidizing agent. Just remind it. Reducing agent means substance will undergo oxidation, but it will induce reduction in another substance. So this is called reducing agent. So you have to remind the basic concepts. Oxidation is the process of adding oxygen, removing hydrogen, loss of electron. Reduction is the process of adding hydrogen, removing oxygen, gain of electron. Oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. The process is called redox reaction. The substance will undergo reduction but induces oxidation on another substance is called oxidizing agent. The substance will undergo oxidation, induces a reduction in another substance is called a reducing agent. So these are all basics. So hydrogen peroxide will behave as both oxidizing agent as well as reducing agent. So this will be somewhat difficult to understand. The same 5 mark we will discuss Monday also. So in Zoom class also we will discuss the same. So now understand carefully. Take peroxide. When we do the reaction in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in acid medium, so we are going to do a chemical reaction by taking hydrogen peroxide in the presence of acid medium. Now what will be the reaction? So to take it, oxidation is performed in acid medium. Okay. When a reaction is done in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in acid medium, what will be the process? Oxidation process. So substance will undergo oxidation in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in acid medium. If a substance involves in a chemical reaction in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in basic medium, then the reaction will be a reduction, right? So a substance will undergo reduction in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in basic medium. Okay. So now consider acid medium. Right. Now we are going to do a chemical reaction in acid medium. Okay. If the reaction is taking place in acid medium, oxidation will take place. So in acid medium, a substance will undergo oxidation in the presence of hydrogen peroxide. For that, you may observe this reaction. Right? So we have taken ferrous sulfate, FeSO4. The ferrous sulfate undergoes oxidation in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in acid medium. So sulfuric acid represents what? In acid medium, ferrous sulfate undergoes oxidation in the presence of hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide induces oxidation on ferrous sulfate. So this is oxidizing agent. Okay. So based on oxidation state, we can explain. So what is the basic idea? In acid medium, a substance will undergo oxidation in the presence of hydrogen peroxide. That is the basic idea. Next, we have to explain this using oxidation state of each one. Okay. Now consider the oxidation state of cation Fe2 plus, right? So this is ferrous Fe2 plus. So in the reactant side, the reactant ferrous sulfate contains cation Fe2 plus. Charge or oxidation state of this metal is 2 plus. Now observe the oxidation state or charge of the metal ion in the product side. So what is the product? Ferric sulfate, Fe2SO4 thrice times. The reactant is ferrous sulfate, oxidation state 2 plus. So Fe2 plus is called ferrous. Product ferric sulfate, Fe2SO4 thrice times. So what is the oxidation state of metal here? 3 plus. So during this reaction, oxidation state of metal ion is increased from 2 plus into 3 plus. Now this is what process? Oxidation process. So the metal ion loses an electron. Already the metal has lost 2 electrons, so which becomes Fe2 plus. Again during this reaction it loses one more electron, so it becomes Fe3 plus. Ferrous becomes ferric, Fe2 plus becomes Fe3 plus. So this is called oxidation. This oxidation is induced by hydrogen peroxide in acid medium. Okay. So as I told already, oxidizing agent means it will undergo what process? Reduction process. So in acid medium, hydrogen peroxide induces oxidation on ferrous sulfate, so it becomes ferric sulfate. Hydrogen peroxide is oxidizing agent, that means it will undergo reduction. So what is reduction process? Gain of electron. So ferrous loses an electron, the electron is received by hydrogen peroxide, so this will undergo reduction process. Okay. So now observe a chemical reaction in acid medium. If a substance undergoes oxidation in acid medium in the presence of hydrogen peroxide induces oxidation on that substance, so it is oxidizing agent, but it will undergo reduction. The explanation is given in the first equation. Take H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. H plus represents acid medium. Any one acid may be there, hydrochloric acid or nitric acid or sulfuric acid. Any one acid which will give you H plus ion. So in acid medium, hydrogen peroxide will behave as oxidizing agent. That means induces oxidation, but it undergoes reduction. Thereby, it gains electron. Right? So due to gaining of electron, it becomes water molecule. Now observe the oxidation state of oxygen in the left hand side and right hand side. What is the oxidation state of oxygen in the left hand side? Hydrogen peroxide. Oxygen has oxidation state what? 1 minus. Product side 2 minus. That means each oxygen gains 1 electron. Okay. Next, basic medium. As we said, in basic medium, if a substance undergoes a reaction, the reaction will be reduction process in the presence of hydrogen peroxide. Right? So further take this process, a reduction of potassium permanganate. So this is called potassium permanganate, KMnO4. KMnO4 undergoes reduction process in basic medium. Right? So in the presence of hydrogen peroxide, there will be reduction. So due to reduction, it becomes manganese dioxide with the liberation of potassium hydroxide, water as well as oxygen gas. Hydrogen peroxide induces a reduction in basic medium on another substance, so which is behaving as reducing agent. So potassium permanganate undergoes reduction in the presence of hydrogen peroxide in basic medium. So hydrogen peroxide induces a reduction on potassium permanganate. So this is called a reducing agent. But this will undergo what? oxidation process, right? So hydrogen peroxide will undergo oxidation process. So you may explain using the oxidation state. In the left hand side, we have the reactant potassium permanganate KMnO4. What is the oxidation state of manganese Mn? Mn is a symbol of manganese. Oxidation state 7 plus. Observe the product manganese dioxide MnO2. What is the oxidation state of manganese? 4 plus. So each manganese gains 3 electron, right? So oxidation state have reduced from plus 7 into plus 4. Oxidation state is reduced. So this is a reduction process. Each manganese gains 3 electron. So potassium permanganate gains electrons. It undergoes reduction. The reduction is induced by hydrogen peroxide in basic medium. So hydrogen peroxide is behaving as a reducing agent in basic medium, but this will undergo oxidation process. How? Now observe the oxidation state of oxygen in hydrogen peroxide. H2O2. Oxygen has oxidation state 1 minus. But product side, observe oxygen molecule O2. O2 oxygen molecule. So this is neutral molecule. Overall charge 0. So oxidation state is increased, right? Minus 1 to 0. Oxidation state is increased. That means it loses electron, right? Hydrogen peroxide loses electron. So the process is called what? Oxidation process. Okay. So we may explain it again. Take a hydrogen peroxide in basic medium. OH minus represents what? Basic medium. Hydrogen peroxide H2O2 will be separated into H plus and HO2 minus. So why we have written it as HO2 minus? H2O2 hydrogen peroxide will be separated into H plus and HO2 minus. So in basic medium, it loses electron. Hydrogen peroxide loses electron to produce oxygen and water. So loss of electron is called what? Oxidation. So if hydrogen peroxide undergoes oxidation, this will induce reduction in another substance, so which will act as reducing agent. Next one, uses of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is a very good oxidizing agent. So in water treatment, that means in the removal of impurities in water, we can use hydrogen peroxide. When hydrogen peroxide is used, which will oxidize the impurities. So the pollutants will be oxidized by hydrogen peroxide, so which can be easily removed. So which is used for water treatment. Next, hydrogen peroxide is a mild antiseptic. Right? Then it has a very good bleaching action. Hydrogen peroxide is having a very good bleaching action in textile industry, paper industry, as well as hair care industry. Next, a 2 mark question. Hydrogen peroxide is used to restore the white color of old paintings. Now observe the old paintings. The white color of old painting will not exist for a longer period. So day by day, the color becomes dim as well as tarnished. So if it is white in color, the white color is day by day becoming dim as well as tarnished. So somewhat the painting becomes black in color, right? So this is mainly due to hydrogen sulfide present in the atmospheric air. So when we take hydrogen sulfide, this hydrogen sulfide is combining with the painting. So that white painting contains a color pigment. So the color pigment is a compound Pb3OH twice, CO3 twice. So in the paintings, that white color is having a pigment having formula Pb3OH twice, CO3 twice. The hydrogen sulfide present in the atmospheric air reacts with this pigment. That means it reacts with metal lead. It forms a black color lead sulfide. Why the painting becomes black in color? So old paintings become black in color. This is mainly due to the formation of a black colored lead sulfide on its surface, right? So hydrogen sulfide present in the atmospheric air combines with lead of a color pigment, it forms black colored lead sulfide. So this coating has to be removed. So the black colored coating on this painting should be removed. For that we can use hydrogen peroxide. So when hydrogen peroxide is applied on the surface of old paintings, the hydrogen peroxide will act as oxidizing agent. So it oxidizes lead sulfide into lead sulfate. Right? So the black colored lead sulfide is converted into lead sulfate with the liberation of water. So we can easily remove the black colored lead sulfide. The formed lead sulfide can be easily removed by applying hydrogen peroxide. Right? So the process is called oxidation. Now we have to explain oxidation concept in terms of what? Addition of oxygen. PbS, lead sulfide, which undergoes oxidation. That means what? Oxygen is added with the lead sulfide, it becomes lead sulfide. Addition of oxygen is oxidation. So hydrogen peroxide is oxidizing agent, means it will undergo what? Reduction. So hydrogen peroxide loses one oxygen so that it becomes water in the product side. Hydrogen peroxide loses an oxygen, so it undergoes reduction, but it induces oxidation on lead sulfide. Right? Oxygen is added with lead sulfide, oxidation process, which is induced by hydrogen peroxide. So the role of hydrogen peroxide here is oxidizing agent. So this is an important 2 mark question. Next, what is the structure of hydrogen peroxide? First, one more question. Hydrogen peroxide is not a planar one, right? All the atoms will not be present in a plane. So this is non-planar structure. Now, what is the reason for non-planar structure? Because we have two OH groups, right? The red color sphere represents oxygen atom, the white color sphere represents hydrogen atom. So we have OH, two OH groups are there. And oxygen contains lone pair of electron. The electrons which are not involved in bonding is called a lone pair of electron or unshared pair of electron. Both the oxygen atoms are having lone pair of electron. So there will be repulsion. So between these two OH groups, there will be hindrance as well as repulsion. Hindrance is nothing but one will repel another each other, right? So between these two OH groups, there will be electron repulsion because all the electrons are having same charges. So same charges are always repel each other. So due to this repulsion, hydrogen peroxide is not a planar structure. So this is a non-planar structure, and this conformation is called skew conformation. So in organic chemistry we will study in detail. There are different conformations like board conformation, chair conformation, skew conformation. So conformation means arrangement of atoms in space. So in x, y, z directions, how the atoms are arranged. So that is called the conformation. Right? So different conformations are available. Now what is the conformation of hydrogen peroxide? Skew conformation. This is not a planar structure, non-planar structure. The reason is two OH groups will repel each other, and lone pair of electrons present on oxygen will also repel. So that this is non-planar structure. And observe the rotation between the two oxygen atoms. A single covalent bond is there. So two oxygen atoms cannot rotate easily. So there are two types of rotations. One is free rotation, another one is restricted or hindered rotation. So here the rotation is a restricted rotation, or we can call this as hindered rotation. So this is not a free rotation. Next, we are going to compare the structure of hydrogen peroxide in gaseous state as well as solid state. So when physical state changes, so there are some changes in the bond angle as well as bond length. So both will also be changed. Now, hydrogen peroxide structure can be compared with the structure of a book. This is an easy way to understand the structure of hydrogen peroxide. So you can compare the structure of a book with the structure of hydrogen peroxide. Now the book is in partially opened condition. Now we are not opening a book 100%. So if we open a book 100%, it will acquire what structure? Planar structure. But hydrogen peroxide is not a planar one. So when a book is partially opened, that means 50%, if you open a book, this structure will be compared to the structure of hydrogen peroxide. So if you have a confusion regarding the structure, you think about book. If a book is opened partially, now that structure is related with the structure of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. So in gaseous state as well as solid state, we are going to compare bond angle as well as. Now we are going to compare the structure of hydrogen peroxide in gaseous state as well as solid state. So now in gaseous state, what is the bond length between oxygen and hydrogen? So we have oxygen and hydrogen covalent bond. So two oxygen and hydrogen covalent bonds are there. So bond length between the oxygen and hydrogen is 0.95 angstrom in case of hydrogen peroxide in gaseous state. What is the bond length between oxygen and oxygen? 1.47 angstrom. Right. So totally there are three covalent bonds. Oxygen hydrogen covalent bonds, 2 oxygen oxygen covalent bond, 1. So bond length between oxygen and hydrogen is 0.95 angstrom. Oxygen oxygen bond length 1.47 angstrom. And bond angle between these two covalent bond, right? Oxygen oxygen covalent bond as well as oxygen hydrogen covalent bond. So between these two covalent bonds, the angle is called 94.8 degree. And this bond angle, so this is called a dihedral angle, 115.5 degree. So these are the data for hydrogen peroxide in gaseous state. Okay. So in gaseous phase, bond length between oxygen hydrogen 0.95 angstrom, bond length between two oxygen atoms 1.47 angstrom, bond length between oxygen oxygen bond and oxygen hydrogen bond 94.8 degree, and a dihedral angle 115.5 degree. Now move into the hydrogen peroxide present in solid state. Bond length, bond angle, dihedral angle, all will be changed. So in solid state, bond length between oxygen and the hydrogen is increased 0.98 angstrom. Bond length between two oxygen atoms have decreased 1.46 angstrom. Dihedral angle is reduced 90.2 degree. Then bond angle between oxygen hydrogen covalent bond and oxygen oxygen covalent bond 101.9 degree. So we compare the hydrogen peroxide structure in gaseous state as well as a solid state. So bond length, bond angle, dihedral angle, all will be changed. So dihedral angle is decreased when we move from gaseous state into solid state. Dihedral angle is reduced from 115.5 degree to 90.2 degree. This is an important one more question. So this reduction in the dihedral angle is mainly due to hydrogen bonding. So as I told already, in gaseous phase, in between the hydrogen peroxide molecules, a weak force of attraction is present. The molecules are always having the tendency to escape from the container, but in solid state, the molecules are closely packed. So between the more electronegative oxygen and the least electronegative hydrogen, there will be a bonding called hydrogen bonding. So yesterday we were discussing about hydrogen bonding. So intermolecular hydrogen bonding as well as intramolecular will be there. So intermolecular hydrogen bonding will also be predominant here, right? So in case of solid state, so this type of hydrogen bonding is also possible. So between least electronegative hydrogen and more electronegative oxygen, force of attraction will be there. We call it as hydrogen bonding. So due to hydrogen bonding in solid state, the dihedral angle is reduced. So we will recall one more time. Now heavy water. So what is the formula for heavy water? D2O. The abundance of heavy water is very less. So when we consider water molecules, out of 5000 ordinary water molecules, only one heavy water molecule will be there, which is prepared by electrolysis of water. So ordinary water molecules will be decomposed first to produce hydrogen and oxygen. Remaining heavy water will be present with lesser abundance. Then heavy water is colorless, odorless, tasteless liquid. It involves in exchange reactions. So when heavy water is added with compounds containing hydrogen, that will be replaced by deuterium present in heavy water. So exchange reactions are possible in case of water. The application of exchange reaction is to identify the basicity of a substance, so that hypophosphorus acid basicity is identified as 1. This is monobasic acid. So heavy water combines with other substances like aluminum carbide, calcium carbide, magnesium nitrate, calcium phosphate to produce different deuteroxides. Next, heavy water is used as a moderator as well as coolant in nuclear reactors, which is used to study reaction mechanisms. So as a tracer, which can be used to study ordinary organic as well as metabolic reactions. Then hydrogen peroxide, which can be prepared by adding barium peroxide or sodium peroxide with dilute acids like sulfuric acid. So hydrogen peroxide is formed along with the salts like barium sulfate as well as sodium sulfate. Then larger scale preparation. So for which auto-oxidation of 2-ethyl anthraquinol takes place. So first 2-ethyl anthraquinone undergoes hydrogenation process. So it produces 2-ethyl anthraquinol. Further auto-oxidation will produce a hydrogen peroxide with the regeneration of 2-ethyl anthraquinone. We add water. Hydrogen peroxide is inorganic substance, so which can be dissolved in water. So we get aqueous layer, but 2-ethyl anthraquinone is organic substance which will not be dissolved in water, so which is separated as organic layer. Then hydrogen peroxide is a light blue color solution, almost colorless, and the 30% hydrogen peroxide solution is called 100 volume hydrogen peroxide, because at standard temperature and pressure, when we heat 1 ml of hydrogen peroxide, it produces 100 ml of oxygen. Then easily it undergoes disproportionation, but the reaction is slow as well as explosive one. When we use metal as a catalyst, the reaction rate will be increased. Hydrogen peroxide usually stores in plastic bottles. If it is stored in glass bottles, it dissolves metal of glass, because glass is silicates of alkali metal. So metal will be dissolved in the hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen peroxide is usually stored in plastic bottles. Then which is a very good oxidizing and reducing agent. So hydrogen peroxide will behave as oxidizing agent in acid medium. It induces oxidation on another substance, but it undergoes reduction. Hydrogen peroxide is acting as a reducing agent in basic medium. It induces reduction on another substance, but it will undergo oxidation. Then hydrogen peroxide can be used in water treatment to remove the pollutants. Hydrogen peroxide is used as an oxidizing agent, which is a mild antiseptic, which has a bleaching action in different industries like textile, paper as well as hair care industry. Then hydrogen peroxide is used to restore the old paintings. So white color of old paintings becomes tarnished. So there is a formation of a black color coating which can be removed by applying hydrogen peroxide. So hydrogen sulfide present in the atmospheric air combines with the color pigment of painting Pb3 OH twice CO3 twice. So due to that, a black colored lead sulfide coating is formed on the painting, which can be removed by applying hydrogen peroxide, which is acting as oxidizing agent. So lead sulfide is oxidized into lead sulfate with the liberation of water. So again, the painting is restored. Then hydrogen peroxide is not a planar structure. So this is a non-planar structure because two OH groups will have repulsions, and each oxygen atom has a lone pair of electron. Lone pair repulsion will also be there, so that which is acquiring skew conformation. And the rotation of oxygen single covalent bond is not a free one, which is hindered or restricted rotation. The structure of hydrogen peroxide is compared with the structure of partially opened book, right? So in gas state, bond angle, bond length, dihedral angle will be different. In solid state, hydrogen peroxide structure will have different bond angle as well as dihedral angle and bond length. So dihedral angle is reduced in case of solid state. For hydrogen peroxide, dihedral angle is reduced. This is mainly due to hydrogen bonding. So with this, today's class over. So in this session, only two topics will be difficult to understand. That is, hydrogen peroxide is acting as oxidizing as well as reducing agent. One topic. Another one is structure of hydrogen peroxide. These two will be somewhat difficult to understand. So 2 or 3 times you just observe the video, and the 2 5-mark questions. These 2 5-mark questions will be discussed in Zoom class also. So repeatedly when we discuss, you can easily understand. Hydrogen peroxide is acting as oxidizing and reducing agent. On book back 5-mark, and structure of hydrogen peroxide is another 5-mark. You just revise 2 or 3 times. So we will discuss the same 5 marks in Monday Zoom class also. So thank you. We will meet tomorrow.